How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Zach Hicks, your resident film nerd of HorseshoeHuddle.com, and of course, your favorite co-host over at the Locked On Colts podcast. We are back with yet another film breakdown for you guys, but first, let me take you on a little journey on why nerds like me love the NFL. The NFL is all about the ebbs and flows, the schematic innovations, and the changes that we see from year to year, from decade to decade. And one of my favorite things to follow in my time covering the NFL has been the drastic changes in offenses and defenses since the 2010s. You know, when I was back in high school, back in the early 2010s, seeing that Seattle cover 3 defense rise in the NFL and be this new way to take away the run, match against the pass, and just play physical, good, hard football against receivers is what led to that dominance of those Seattle teams back in the early 2010s. Then NFL offenses went to the college ranks to find the answer for that. They built up these RPOs. They built up these ways to manipulate safeties and linebackers in the box while still staying in relatively light boxes and spreading the ball out. And RPOs just really took over the game there for a couple years. And we saw that with the MVP seasons from Pat Mahomes. We saw that with the Eagles in a couple of these championship type seasons, just really leaning into that RPO game. So then how did defenses respond to that? How did they start taking away the RPO and the spread offenses? They decided to lean into the analytics of limiting explosive plays, going more to high coverage concepts, relying more on their underneath players to limit explosives and make sure that they can just match everything on the back end with 2 high defenses. So yet again, offenses needed to respond. How do we respond now that the RPO game is not working quite well? Well, the new meta around the league is heavy personnel groupings, 12 personnel, 13 personnel groups. If teams want to sit in 2 high safety looks, that's great. We'll bring out 2 tight ends. We'll bring out 3 tight ends, and we will dare you to sit back with 2 safeties in your nickel and dime defenses and leave your box either vulnerable to the run, or if you do come up to defend the run, we will use play action or vertical shots to take advantage down the field. It's a way that the offense has found just an answer to attack down the field versus these 2 high safety concepts. And we are seeing that around the league right now. The best offenses are quite effective out of 12 and 13 personnel. This really started with like the Detroit Lions of a couple years ago. The Shanahan tree has gone crazy with this concept, and we are seeing it bleed over to Shane Steichen's Colts this year. With the addition of Tyler Warren, the Colts are leaning into 12 personnel more than ever. They are a top 5 passing offense out of 12 personnel this year, by far and away the number 1 rushing offense out of 12 personnel. And like we see with these modern metas around the league, there's many different ways to attack. You know, we look at the Seattle Seahawks. They are an explosive passing offense out of 12 and 13 personnel. They want to bring everyone up to the line of scrimmage, get Jackson Smith and Jigba on an island on the outside, and attack down the field with his ability to not be covered well by anybody in football. The Colts do have some explosive elements out of 12 and 13 personnel, but really they use the passing game out of these heavy personnel sets to get ahead of the sticks, move the ball forward, and create yards after the catch. So today we're going to look at the Colts passing offense out of heavier personnel sets, how teams, when they match with nickel or dime, the Colts are more than comfortable to throw the football early to their big yards after catch playmakers like Tyler Warren and Michael Pittman Jr. We're going to look at a couple deep shots as well, like they do like to isolate Alec Pierce, and then also talk about how, look, if you want to come out in lighter personnel sets and leave 2 safeties high, there's that little Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, the best running back in football this year. That's also a big-time threat. So overall, the Colts have been killing teams out of heavier personnel sets. They've been doing it all with Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, and of course, Jonathan Taylor. And we're going to dive into a couple clips on how the Colts offense has been so effective with this new and improved style of offense. So the Colts are still an offense that predominantly works out of the gun. They still lean into that stuff. That's what Shane Steichen has always done throughout his career. But they have added more under center concepts this year. And a lot of their under center work hasn't really been to run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. It's been to set up a lot of these underneath passes to Tyler Warren. So we see we're going to motion him across the formation here, have this 12 personnel, Mo Alley-Cox to one side, Tyler Warren to the other, and everything is about selling this run action. So we get to this point here, we're selling this run action, the offensive line is zone blocking, we're pulling out wide here like this zone stretch run, we're getting the linebackers' eyes looking downhill, ready to fit against Jonathan Taylor, and we're even selling the run blocking here with Tyler Warren. But as we see what the Colts do here, what they do so effectively on a lot of these other clips, is once they get that play fake going, Warren's able to work off his guy, get into the flat, get that ball, and work up the field and create those yards after catch, which he has been so great at doing this year. But again, it all sets up because of that run action, that run fake, that motion prior to the snap, getting the linebacker's eyes to attack downhill against this run look and setting up Warren to leak out to the backside. And then once you get that ball in his hands, he becomes that playmaker after the catch that we all know and love. Getting to this next clip here against the Tennessee Titans. Again, we get 12 personnel, 1 and 2 here with the 2 tight ends. We're going to motion Tyler Warren pre-snap. And as he gets into the backfield, this is when the snap happens. And again, all this is run blocking up front. As we look at the beginning of this play, we're showing that outside stretch zone. We're showing that zone run here. We even have Mo Alley-Cox blocking down the line here as that other tight end. And Tyler Warren is selling that he's doing that split zone blocking action by coming up and engaging that defensive end. So we got linebackers fitting downhill. Look at their eyes looking into the backfield, reading their cues on the offensive line. And we're going to pull Tyler Warren out here into the flat after he shakes off this defensive end. And after that, it's all Tyler Warren creating after the catch, getting to that first down marker and getting that Colts that positive gain. And then obviously one of their biggest ones here was this 12 personnel play against the Los Angeles Chargers. And this really shows just how unique a lot of this run action is with the Colts here. We're going to have Drew Ogletree pulling across. We're going to have Matt Gonsalves pulling across the formation. And we're selling this counter action here to Jonathan Taylor. And it's going to pull the eyes of a lot of these Chargers defenders that are wanting to fit against this run here. We're even getting the safety crashing downhill hard here, and we're going to have Tyler Warren just leak out the backside, completely unaccounted for because of that run action, and he's able to create the explosive play for the Colts offense. So when we talk about the Colts under center game and their heavy personnel usage game, a lot of it is just to get the ball in the hands of their special playmaker and Tyler Warren, get him the ball in a hurry and let him create after the catch, because that has been his bread and butter this year, and that's what's made him one of the best tight ends in football. The Colts have really leaned into that, and it's really been successful for their offense. So again, the new modern meta right now is 12 personnel usage and building your passing game off of that. But the Colts, they use a lot of it to get their checkdowns to Tyler Warren and let him create explosives from the underneath passing game. This is the core aspect of their 12 personnel and 13 personnel groupings. We talked in the intro about how the RPO game has kind of died around the NFL. It's not as prominent as it was a couple years ago. And while I still believe that is the case, the Colts do have an RPO changeup that they like to throw out there in 12 personnel sets from the shotgun. And the main contributor to all this is Michael Pittman Jr., the Colts veteran wide receiver. The Colts like to mix in the RPO game a good bit with Pittman just to keep defenses honest and make sure they're not fitting too hard against their run game. So we see here 12 personnel look, Tyler Warren. I think this is Drew Ogletree here in the backfield. Cool little sniffer concept with these two guys lined up in the backfield. And what we're going to see is the Colts running this RPO off of it. We're going to see a quick little cheat motion to pull this corner off of Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to find that space here at the secondary. And look at all these guys fitting against the run, expecting to close in here with the offensive line pass blocking. And we get this quick hitter to Michael Pittman Jr. in space. And he's able to create after the catch and make something happen. But yeah, a lot of it, again, just dictating what you're doing with the linebackers, dictating how you're attacking at the second and third levels of the defense, and using 12 personnel to open up the passing game. We get to another one here against the Arizona Cardinals. And again, RPO, we're seeing that we're selling the run action. Look at all these guys fitting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in the box, eyes on the quarterback, fitting, get all that space to Michael Pittman Jr. at the second level, and he's able to create again after that catch. And another big one here against the Miami Dolphins early. Look at how all these eyes in the backfield here on this run action. We're selling the run so hard. 1, 2, 3. We got corner with his eyes in the backfield, safety with the eyes in the backfield, and it opens up this quick glance route to Michael Pittman Jr. for a nice little productive gain. So yeah, the RPO game around the NFL is a bit dead. It's not as, again, prevalent as what it was, especially when Shane Steichen was running it so much with Gardner Minshew a couple years ago. But the Colts like this little change up here just to keep defenses honest, make them double think about what's going on here at the second level, and make sure they can get some productive gains here with Pittman Jr. and Daniel Jones at the helm. So yeah, it's a really nice changeup they have in their arsenal out of 12 personnel, especially when they're working out of the gun and they want to still influence defenses with that play action and that run action look in the backfield. While underneath passes and quick hitters are fantastic and we love our run after catch opportunities, the Colts have also found a way to build explosives out of 12 personnel, namely centered around this wide receiver right here, Alec Pierce, and his ability to get down the field. He leads the NFL in yards per target and yards per reception this season, and you can see why on plays like this. The Colts are able to finally get a team out of the too high shell. They're getting that safety back down, and from there we get this whole isolation route from Alec Pierce with max protection up front. So the 7-man passing concept, only 2 to 3 routes. I mean, again, Jonathan Taylor's rolling out into the flat here, so he's like the third route on the play. But the whole thing is built to get this isolation two-way go with Alec Pierce, where he has the whole sideline to himself, he has the whole vertical plane to himself, and he's putting this cornerback in absolute hell on when he has to open his hips, when he has to turn and run. And Pierce is able to step on his toes, get that comeback route, and get to the sideline. Really, really nice route by the veteran receiver that's set up from his speed and his ability to be put on an island like this and get that separation. We get to this play against the Miami Dolphins, and we see much of the similar thing, where against the Dolphins, they're going to stack the box against this 12 personnel look. We're going to see, 7-8 guys in the box here and leaving that safety over the top. Safety can't commit too much to either side to leave the corners on island. Pierce does a really good job when we go back to the beginning of this play of selling that inside release, getting the corner to open up that way, breaking back outside vertical, and from there it's just a whole shot for Daniel Jones off of play action, and the Colts are able to build that explosive pass concept there and get that big play. So yeah, the Colts are more of an underneath passing team out of 12 personnel. They like to get their run after catch to Pittman and to Tyler Warren. But when teams come out of the too high shells, when they try to go back to single high looks, they're not afraid to test it down the field with Alec Pierce and get him involved and let him work on an island against lesser cornerbacks. So the Colts passing offense is quite deadly out of 12 personnel. Again, they're fourth in the league in EPA per play out of 12 personnel passing. And yeah, this is kind of why they can beat you in so many different ways with so many different weapons. And even though they have their core tenets, they like to get Alec Pierce involved down the field and let him do his thing. So this entire video thus far has been about how the Colts are at the forefront of the new NFL meta, which is getting into these heavy personnel groupings and throwing the ball, whether it's throwing it short to Tyler Warren or Michael Pittman Jr. or building explosives with Alec Pierce. The Colts have been, again, at the forefront of this new type of trend that's going around the NFL. But if defenses want to come out here and still play their too high shell, bring a third safety on the field, go nickel and dime against the Colts and gearing up for the pass play, well, we had to throw in this one last clip here to show how dangerous that is for a defense, because the name of the game in the NFL is preventing explosives. And if you're going to come out here and nickel and dime defense against the Colts in 12 and 13 personnel, you're not going to prevent explosives, because the type of explosives like this are always on the table with how Jonathan Taylor has played this season. The last thing you want to do as a defense against the Colts is come out in dime personnel against their heavy personnel sets, because Jonathan Taylor is having a special season. The Colts have a higher rush EPA than pass EPA for this year, and that's not because their pass EPA has been bad. It's because their rush EPA is at an all-time great level. So if defenses want to dare the Colts to run the ball out of these heavy personnel sets, I think the Colts are just going to say bet and just roll with it and give the ball to this phenom. As you guys could see in those film clips, the Colts' 12 and 13 personnel usage is quite deadly to opposing defenses. If you want to just sit there and play like a typical run defense against it, the Colts are more than comfortable throwing the ball out in space to Michael Pittman Jr. and Tyler Warren and letting those guys create after the catch. If you roll down to safety to combat all of this, the Colts will take their explosives to Alec Pierce down the field. If you try to match the personnel with dime and say, you know what, we dare you to try to run the ball out of this and get explosives in the run game, don't worry, the Colts have the superstar running back in Jonathan Taylor who will get those explosives. And I think something like this will loom large against the Kansas City Chiefs, as the Chiefs have struggled quite a bit to defend play action and to prevent explosives in the run game this year as well. So this is very prevalent for this upcoming game, but also for the rest of the season. I want to make this video to show that the Colts are at the forefront of this new meta in the NFL, the new meta of putting more tight ends on the field and influencing defenses that way with the run action and with dictating how linebackers are using their eyes and getting pulled out of space where teams can attack them in the middle of the field and down the field as well. The Colts have just been fantastic at it this year. Credit to Shane Steichen and his staff for throwing in all these changeups and curveballs to make this offense click. And it's been clicking at a very, very high level. So regardless of how you want to defend the Colts against 12 and 13 personnel, they have their answers with Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, and of course, Jonathan Taylor.